Welcome to the Academic Resource Center's workshop on time management, goal setting, and reading strategies for Mercer students. We hope this workshop will help you make the most out of the time that you spend studying. The information contained within this presentation comes from Walter Pauck and Ross Owen's excellent book, How to Study in College. We strongly recommend this book to all students who want to gain confidence in their study skills. Mercer University students come from a variety of backgrounds and have had many different experiences, but they often share similar concerns while attending college. Some common challenges that students encounter involve balancing responsibilities, managing time effectively, working while also attending classes, having a lack of study skill strategies, learning to use new technologies, and also worrying about finances. To combat some of these common issues, it helps to know about specific strategies that are designed to help you make the most out of the time that you have available. Let's talk about time management. A lack of time management skills often results in wasted time, poor performance, stress, and even relationship damage. Wasted time because you're not prepared to study when you realize you have free time. Stress because you feel like you're being pulled from all sides and aren't doing as well as you should. Stress because you're trying to keep up with everything that you have to do and you're scared you're going to forget something. And finally, a lack of time management skills may cause relationship damage if you aren't striking a balance between your academic and personal lives. You have to work to find a balance and work to find what suits you best. So by increasing your time management capabilities, you will meet deadlines, everything is scheduled so nothing falls through the cracks or sneaks up on you. You will feel less stress and anxiety because you know that you're prepared and you have allowed yourself enough time to complete the tasks that need to be completed. You are also less stressed because you're not trying to keep up with everything in your head. Now you have schedules. You have more control and more balance because you've planned how you're going to spend your time so that all of your needs are being met. Please take a moment to assess your current time management skills. A time management questionnaire is available below this video. Please pause this video and resume playing once you have completed the questionnaire. Now that you have completed the time management questionnaire, use the scoring key to determine how successful you are at time management based on the questionnaire. Some factors that may be affecting your time management skills are too many responsibilities, an inability to say no, failure to delegate, procrastination, and a lack of know-how. Maybe you've never had to work at time management before and you lack the information that you need to get started. Hopefully today's workshop will help you with that. Time management is one of the most essential study skills that students need, yet it is still one of the most common skills that students lack. Here are some recommendations to improve your time management skills. Learn to prioritize tasks. Develop daily, weekly, and monthly schedules. Delegate responsibility. Say no. Write down objectives and work toward deadlines. Use a calendar to organize commitments. Shift your priorities toward more urgent tasks. Work to reduce clutter and unnecessary paperwork. Try to give up total control. And finally, avoid procrastination. One aspect of effective time management is the ability to prioritize tasks. You're not managing your time well if you're spending time on items that aren't top priority. This is an urgency importance matrix developed by a man named Dr. Covey. As you can see, it's divided into quadrants, with the lower quadrants being for less urgent items and the top quadrants being for urgent items. The left quadrants are for less important items and the right quadrants are for the most important items. In their book, Pauck and Owens explain that tasks that are urgent require immediate attention, while important tasks are tasks that will help you achieve your goals. Tasks that are neither urgent nor important simply waste your time. They can be ignored since they don't help you achieve your goals. Urgent and important items are tasks that you should not ignore. They are things like picking your child up from soccer practice or submitting an assignment on time, and also unscheduled but urgent and important tasks like helping out a friend who is stranded with a flat tire. So these are things that would go in quadrant 1, high priority, urgent, important tasks. Interestingly, the most valuable quadrant in the matrix is quadrant 2, the urgent but not important quadrant. This quadrant is for assignments that aren't due yet but are certainly important. If you work on these items before they become urgent, you will benefit from your preparedness. You won't have to pull all-nighters to finish assignments, and you won't have to cram for exams. You will have worked on the assignment or prepared for the exam well ahead of time, which helped keep stress at bay and kept you more focused and more organized. The more focus that you put on quadrant 2, and the more you try to take care of the items within that quadrant before they become urgent, the more effective you will be at time management. When using the matrix to prioritize your tasks, your primary goal should be to focus on quadrant 2 and keep items from becoming urgent. But sometimes life happens and you will find tasks landing in quadrant 1. When that happens, always address the tasks in quadrant 1 prior to working on the items in quadrant 2. As for the items in quadrant 3, the urgent but not important tasks, you should work to eliminate the chances of those items showing up. They are often unexpected items like getting a phone call or a text or getting your muddy dog off the sofa. To avoid these urgent but not necessarily important tasks, you should try to find a study environment that reduces the chance of these types of interruptions. Polk states that the items in quadrant 4 don't belong on any task list. If you catch yourself spending time on things that are neither urgent nor important, make a point to avoid doing that in the future. So once you create a matrix for your tasks, I encourage you to use the matrix as your to-do list or use it as a guide when you're creating your weekly or daily schedule. Please take a look at the handout named Creating Schedules, which can be found below this video. As the handout explains, the master schedule should be semester long and should have fixed activities listed. The monthly schedule should list assignment due dates, quiz dates, and exam dates for the entire month. The weekly schedule is a recreation of the master schedule in which you will fill the available blocks of time with the activities that you need to schedule for that week. Finally, your daily schedule or to-do list should be specific and brief and should list the items that need to be completed that day. Here are some points to take into consideration when you create your schedules. You should review every class at least once every 24 hours. Schedule a weekly Where Am I review for every course. Limit yourself to 50 to 60 minutes of continuous studying on a single topic. You should block out times for static activities such as work or meals. And finally, you should use times when you are most productive. Take advantage of small time bubbles. There are pockets of time throughout the day that we can make work for us as we try to increase the time we have for studying. Times when we're standing in line, driving to work, shaving, or taking a break at work. These are all relatively brief time bubbles, but if you learn to take advantage of them, the increased study time can make a big impact. Carry work with you. Although we may consider our days to be packed with activities, we often have small amounts of free time available for studying. The problem is, you have to be prepared to study when you find yourself in one of these types of situations. Some instances when you might find yourself with an opportunity to study could be when you're waiting for a meeting to begin, when you're in line at the drive-thru, or when you're waiting to pick your child up from dance class. If you've prepared by bringing flashcards or your textbook with you, you can take advantage of the surprise free time that you've been given. Use your mind when it's free. Again, by being prepared, you can find some studying time that you may not have taken advantage of otherwise. I have a friend who's in nursing school. When I visit her, there are often post-it notes located throughout her apartment with medical terms or diagrams written on them. She has them posted on her refrigerator, on her bathroom mirror, and in other strategic locations. What she's done is provided herself with multiple opportunities to quiz or study while she's busy doing other things. She may be busy, but her mind is free. This is an excellent strategy for getting in more study time. Record study information. If you record your professor's lecture or record yourself reading over your test prep material, you can play those recordings back to yourself either through your headphones while you're at work or in the car while you're driving to school or to work. Doing this will not only allow you to interact with the material differently by listening instead of reading, but it will also allow you to get more studying in throughout the day. Employ spare time thinking. Even if you don't have any class materials with you, you can still study. If you catch yourself with a few moments of spare time, think about the last material covered in class or review the last material that you studied. Each of these strategies may take some getting used to, but will prove beneficial to you if you learn to master them. When you are studying, eliminate distractions to create a more conducive environment for studying. In their book, Pock and Owens explained that external distractions are anything that stimulates your senses and in the process disrupts your concentration. External distractions can vary from person to person, but some common ones are the television, someone talking on the phone, or someone running the vacuum cleaner. You should pick a study environment that will reduce these distractions, like the library. I know some of you don't have the luxury of leaving home to go study, so you'll need to find a workspace that minimizes distractions and eliminates noise as much as possible. Avoid working on your computer if possible. It is very tempting to check your email or Facebook, and doing so breaks your concentration and steals minutes of your time away without your even realizing it. Since external distractions can't be completely avoided, there's a trick called the spider technique that can help you learn to deal with the distractions. The concept came from an experiment in which a vibrating tuning fork was held close to a spider's web, causing the web to vibrate, which caused the spider to run around the web looking to see what food had stuck to his web. Eventually, the spider learned to ignore the vibrations. So when you're studying and you're faced with an external distraction, ignore it. Don't stop what you're doing or otherwise acknowledge the distraction. You will have to work at it the first few times, but eventually you will stop noticing the distractions altogether. Internal distractions can be just as bad or worse than external distractions. The only difference is that you control them. Internal distractions can be anything that pulls your focus away from your studies, like thinking about what you'll have for supper or worrying about something that happened earlier in the day. Even though we control our internal distractions, it's often not an easy task. To combat internal distractions, Pock and Owens suggest that you use a concentration score sheet. To keep the score sheet, you simply put a check mark down on a piece of paper anytime you catch yourself dealing with an internal distraction, then immediately get back to work. The self-awareness involved in identifying distracting thoughts, dealing with them by putting a check mark on the score sheet, and then getting back to work will, over time, put you in control of those wandering thoughts and increase your ability to focus primarily on the task at hand. When dealing with legitimate concerns or worrying thoughts, jot them down on a worry pad. The idea here is to acknowledge the item that is worrying you by writing it down and then getting right back to work and dealing with the problem or worry after you've finished your work. You're not avoiding the worry, you're acknowledging it and dealing with it at a more appropriate time. Another method the authors suggest is to use the stop technique. When you catch yourself being distracted by a thought that isn't important, just tell yourself, stop. You say the word out loud and with authority. This makes you aware that you are drifting and that you don't intend to continue doing so. You're busy students and your time is too valuable to allow distractions to steal moments away from you. Try out some of these techniques and see which works for you. Please take a look at the SMART Goal Setting Guide Sheet, which can be found beneath this video. Often, we find ourselves with goals, but we fail to achieve those goals. This might be because we aren't setting SMART goals. As you can see on the handout, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. By creating clear, action-focused goals, you're actually giving yourself individual tasks to complete as opposed to giving yourself a general, overblown goal with no clear steps toward achieving that goal. Additionally, this handout encourages you to set deadlines for your goals. Having a timeline makes the goal more real. You've come up with a specific task and you know when you want to have that task completed. Finally, having clear tasks and clear deadlines will help you hold yourself accountable, but it also allows you to share that information with other people who can help hold you accountable. Think about what your goals are and use this sheet to turn those goals into realistic tasks with an action plan. Since we've been talking about time management and finding time for studying, it's important that we talk about reading strategies. Many people aren't familiar with reading strategies. We often get a reading assignment from our professors and then we struggle to read the material before the next class. By taking a strategic approach to reading, you will not only save time, but you will also read in a more meaningful way and increase your retention of the material. Pock and Owens suggest that you pick up the pace. Students should prepare to read. To do this, preview the material. Read chapter headings, the subheadings, look over any bolded words you see, and look at the visuals in the chapter, which may be charts or diagrams. By previewing the chapter, you create a scaffold for the information to fit into. You have a good idea of the key concepts of the chapter, as well as how they should be organized. You have prepared to learn. The Great Recall refers to a method of preparation done by an English historian named Edward Gibbon. Before reading something new or writing on a new subject, Gibbon would spend time trying to remember anything and everything that he had ever read, heard, or learned about that topic or a similar topic. His goal was to not only bring up past information that he had learned about that topic or a similar topic, but it was also to allow him to make connections between what he already knows and the new information that he was about to receive. Making connections is vital to comprehension of new material and to recalling information. The more connections that you can make, the more deeply seated that knowledge is in your brain. So prepare to read by considering the topic, considering what you already know, and considering why it's important, as well as how it ties into the previous information that you've learned, and you will have greater success at learning the new material. Webster's Way refers to Daniel Webster's method of preparing to read. He would preview the text and then come up with a list of questions that he expected to be answered in the text, what he expected to learn from the text, and what he might be able to do with that knowledge. By preparing to read and coming up with questions about the material, Webster was able to easily focus on the reading because he was essentially looking for answers as he read, which allowed him to concentrate fully on the material. All of the things you read do not warrant the same level of attention to detail. Pock and Owens use altitude as an analogy for the different types of reading that students do. If you're simply looking within a text to find one specific piece of information, for instance, who was the drummer for the Beatles or what year the Titanic sank, it's not necessary to read through the whole article or book. Scanning the text from 35,000 feet will suffice. There are other times when you might need to get a little more information from a text and scanning simply won't work. The trade-off in getting more involved in the text or reading at a lower altitude is that the lower you go, the slower you'll have to go. To skim the treetops, you're looking for information that can't be found by scanning, or you're wanting to get the gist of an article without reading the whole thing. Maybe you're working on a research paper and you don't have time to read every article that you found in the database, so you need to quickly look over the article to see if it will be useful for your research. To do this, you'll read the introduction paragraph and maybe the topic sentences from the following paragraphs until you get to the article's conclusion, which you will also read. This method will allow you to get the purpose of the article without spending unnecessary time reading the whole article. Finally, you can read at ground level. This is when you're reading to learn or understand the text. This is the slowest of the three altitudes, but that's because you're reading and digesting each word or phrase. Be aware of these different altitudes and be thoughtful about which one is appropriate for the reading that you need to do. Clustering is essentially what it sounds like. Instead of looking at your reading assignment as a whole, break it into clusters that you will read and process one at a time. You can pick the volume of each cluster. You can cluster a paragraph at a time or a page at a time. This is especially helpful when reading dense material that doesn't exactly read like a novel. How often have you been reading for a class and found that even though you read the material, you couldn't explain what you just read to someone else? Instead of spending time on reading text that you won't be able to recall later, break the text into clusters. If you choose to cluster by paragraph, then you'll read a paragraph and then ask yourself what the paragraph meant. Identify the topic sentence, the supporting sentences, and the conclusion sentence. If clustering by page, read a page, then stop and summarize what you just read. You will find clustering not only increases your comprehension of the material, but it also increases your retention of the material. Drawing on your experience. Because we all have experiences and knowledge that we built up over the years, we don't have to spend copious amounts of time looking up words in the dictionary as we read. Can you imagine how long it would take you to read a novel if you had to look up, say, 30 words in every chapter? The reason you don't have to spend time doing that is because you've built up your vocabulary over the years. You have also read enough to learn how to understand words by simply looking at the context in which they're being used. Your experience as a reader allows you to read more quickly, and the more experience you can get reading, the better you will be at reading and writing. One of the best things you can do for yourself as a student is to read. I'm not talking about simply reading your textbooks. Yes, you should always read what your professors tell you to read, but you should also read what you enjoy reading. Reading will improve your reading speed and will also bolster your vocabulary. So whether it's the Rolling Stone magazine or Lolita, do yourself a favor and start reading. This concludes our workshop. Remember to manage your time effectively, establish SMART goals, and employ reading strategies to help save time and boost comprehension. Please visit our website to view our tutoring schedules or to learn more about the other services that we offer. While you're there, be sure to check out our College Study Skills website, where you'll find information on a variety of study skills topics ranging from test preparation to managing stress and anxiety. If you would like to ask any questions, please contact us at arc@mercer.edu. If you would like to visit us, the Academic Resource Center is located on the first floor of the Connell Student Center on the Macon campus. Thank you.